Every one of us at some point in trying to pursue this camping adventure, this hobby, this enjoyment that we are all after, has to decide at some point, what are they going to take to cook on, right? Now there's lots of choices out there, and there's lots of different styles of outdoor cooking that you have to choose from. Now today, you can still find this style of mess kit. That's how popular it is. That even over 100 years from now, they'll still probably be making this type of mess kit. And in the link below in my description, I have one for you. You can take a look and see if it's a good fit for you. It's stainless steel. So it's made out of a modern material. Now back in the day, when the Boy Scouts were just starting out in 1910, and this mess kit was officially patented in 1915, this was a great opportunity for scouts and campers in general, because out in the regular public, they sold this type of mess kit. And wait until the very end of this video, because one of the kits I purchased a couple months ago has a secret in it that surprised me. And it might give you an idea to adapt to your own personal kit. We're going to start with the oldest one that I own and talk about it. This right here is the oldest kit that I have. And the cover itself may be civilian, but inside of it is certainly a Boy Scout mess kit. Now this is a really thick, heavy-duty webbing, which is in contrast to the thinner, lighter weight webbing that you come to later on. It is the only kit I own, and it's the oldest, that actually came with its original silverware, its original utensil. See how small that handle is? Isn't that cool? Now when we open this up, you notice it has this little wing nut here, so we're going to unscrew that, open that, and you've got a plate. Now this plate has a flat edge. Now the reason why I bring that up is because as we go on, this kind of detail actually changes as history moves forward. On the back of it, you see there's a Boy Scout logo. It says number 168 on it, and this is made by the Wherever company. Same thing, we got a Boy Scout logo right there. Wherever, you got a nice little pot. This pot is heavy duty aluminum, even heavier than this one, just by a bit. So I've cooked on this thing a lot. I really enjoy it. And it comes with an aluminum cup. Notice the handle, how it's curved. It's not squared or anything else like that. It comes to a point. It is unmarked on the bottom here. Next comes the lid. See how the lid, it's got those little flare outs, and it's got the ring. Now a nice thing is this pot and this lid seals up pretty tight, but not so tight that it's really difficult to come off. Especially since it's got the air right there. So it doesn't have that vacuum seal, but it's a good tight lid. What's really nice about this recessed lid here as well is you can put coals on here, and you can use this basically as a miniature baker, which I've done before. And then you got your skillet. Now to tighten down your skillet, all you do is tighten down the wing nut, like so, and you got yourself a skillet. Now the awkwardness of this is the weight. So you got to have something kind of heavy, otherwise the handle itself, which is really thick, it's a good deal of aluminum, is going to off balance it. Now what you can do on some of these, not all of them that I found, but some of them, you can unscrew. This one here has been peened over. You can't unscrew this particular one. And if you look at that, it doesn't have the Phillips head right there. Another great detail about these type of kits is you can take the plate and you can cover it like so, wrap this around, and this early model, it has a really good seal with that lip right there. So once you swing it around, that handle latches on there, tighten it down. Once you have it seated right, you got yourself a pretty decent baker. I've used this in the field so much that it doesn't hold its shape quite as well as the newer ones. I want to give a thank you to my patrons on Patreon, because without them and their support, then this channel just would not be going where it's gone. So I want to give a shout out to Francis Hutter, who just joined my Patreons. I really appreciate you, man, and all the others. And just those of you who are taking the time to watch this video, I really appreciate it. But if you're interested in supporting this channel and helping us push forward and push the education and spread the word, then please consider checking out my Patreon page, which the link is in below. Now, it's really hard for me to tell which of these two mess kits here came first. Was it this one that has the New York logo on it, or was it this one here that just has the first class pin on it? Now, either way, it really doesn't matter. They're pretty much the same. As we open this up here, now this one's been very lightly used, as we can see. It's the same concept. Now, the nice thing about this particular one, though, is this wing nut comes off. I'm going to show you a really cool feature of this kit. If you take this handle off and then you go ahead and put your bolt and your wing nut and you tighten it down just like so. Now, when you use this as a skillet, especially if you put a stick through it here and here, you can hold on to it like that. So then this doesn't even get hot if you got a stick in there. That stick is going to act as an insulator. But if you put this on the ground, it's not going to flop. But then you can also take your plate here, put it like so, just like you would a military mess kit. And you have two portions here that you can go down the mess kit and get what you need. And that little lip right there holds it pretty well. But this newer mess kit here, very similar. Smaller tabs on the back end. Aluminum cup, again, with the curl. Now this cup is a little bit lighter. The weight of the bowl itself is about the same, and the skillet itself is about the same. So we're going to close that back up. We'll put this off to the side. There's a spot for the fork and spoon, but we just didn't come with it. This has the first class symbol on it. It does not have a ring around talking about New York City or anything else like that. So this could have been before, it could have been later. Another way to try to age these things is by the cover themselves. Once they get into the 1930s, they're kind of this mustard color. It's not exactly an olive drab green. Later on, especially as we get into World War II, that olive drab green starts taking over. But again, it's all the same, still made by Wherever. The lip of this is still flat at this point. We still have all the same markings over here. This one, this cup, which is a thicker gauge cup, which makes me wonder if this is actually older than the previous one. But again, it's hard to tell. It has the Scout logo. On the Scout logo on it, it says Boy Scouts of America, the official Boy Scouts, license, be prepared, trademark, made in the USA, Wherever. So this is all that stuff, and you got the flaps there. Okay, once we take this out, now this is the World War II mess kit. During World War II is the only time that the Boy Scouts made a mess kit out of steel. And this is the cover for it. Now, if it wasn't for this stamp here for the Boy Scout logo, I would not have realized this was even a Boy Scout cover. We notice it doesn't have the tail in here to protect it from this part of the frying pan. Also, it does not have a Boy Scout button or snap. Once you open it up, you're going to notice something right away, that this is tinned steel. This is tinned steel. The lid is tinned steel. The pot is tinned steel. Even the cup is tinned steel. The only thing that is not tinned steel is the skillet. So that's pretty handy. I think if you're going to find a Boy Scout mess kit and you're really scared about aluminum, this is really the one to find. It's heavy, but since it is steel, you don't have to worry so much about burning your food on it. So you trade off a little bit for it, but this is a great kit. You season this up and it acts just like you're cooking on cast iron. It does a great job. It's thick enough that It distributes heat pretty well. I've cooked on this on the fire. I'm sure other scouts have cooked on the fire. If you've ever cooked on steel, one of the biggest problems is that steel tends to warp. There is no warpage on this old, almost 100-year-old skillet right there. Now, even though this is tinned steel, it's still a good idea to prevent rust. You always want to put a little bit of oil on it. So that's what I've done here, especially since I've cooked on these different things. You don't have to put it, it's not seasoned exactly like what you would do with this skillet part, but you want to coat it in an oil to prevent that rust from coming through. And this is a heavy tin coating, not very thin at all. So they did a really good job with it. It's probably my favorite kit to cook with when I don't care about the weight. But that cup, look at that. And you can actually use this for a measuring cup. So that was a pretty ingenious idea. One interesting thing, this is the only Boy Scout mess kit that did not have any type of Boy Scout logo, with the exception of on the handle. That is the only place that you're going to find the Boy Scout logo on it. So that's pretty unusual. Now, just like the other ones, now since this is heavier, if I were to attach this handle here, since the skillet is heavier, when you use this, especially with some food, it doesn't have the tendency to bow down. But also, this part reaches the bottom. So if you're putting that on the ground, you don't have to worry about it tipping over like the previous ones. Just like before, it has the openings inside the handle itself, so you can still put a stick through it and it insulates from the heat. So there you go. Now you're ready to go down the chow line and get your grub. Now this is rounded. It's not as flat as the previous renditions of it, so that may also help you identify what you may have. Do me a favor, if you've liked this video, if you found it useful or interesting, please click like. That way other people find it. You do them a favor as well. We really appreciate it. Now, you've waited this long for this particular thing. That second to last cook kit that I showed you, this one here, it came in this box. I bought it for $15 on Facebook, right? And I mainly bought it because it came with the box. I don't have a box for any of my other mess kits. And I got lucky because, like I said, I don't think this thing was really all that used very much. When I opened up the box and I took out the cup out of the pot, I'm going to show you what I found. And this idea is ingenious. And I wish I could speak to the scout who came up with this, because I love to hear the story of where it originated from. So let me move the camera again. I'm going to show you exactly what I'm talking about. Now this here, since it has National Council on it, doesn't have New York City or anything on it, we know this is post 1954. This also has Diamond brand on it. So this one probably came from the 1960s. Maybe the 1970s. Now at this point, the gauge of aluminum starts to thin out just a little bit. But we see the Boy Scout logo here. It says the official cook kit on the bottom. This one, if it was used, it was hardly used. Open it up. Now at this point, this bowl starts getting rounded over. The pot still has a metal bail, but it doesn't sit as tight on the pot itself. It also has a recess finally. So what's nice about this, because it does have that recess, this is actually an improvement to use it for a baker, if that's what you're going to use it for. And you still have a cup. Notice the cup though, the handle itself is not as flared out, and it's also more like a bowl instead of a teacup. Now that 1960s kit versus this 1990s, maybe 1980s kit, at this point, this is the type of kit that you don't want to particularly use, especially if you're teaching a child or something to cook on it, because this aluminum is so thin. This is actually the type of kit that I learned how to cook on when I was a scout. And you know, it'll do the job in a pinch, but it's not that great. Like, you can actually see me moving the aluminum with my finger. That shows you how thin this little pot is. Everything else about it is exactly the same. Everything. It came with a little plastic cup, which I don't have the plastic cup in this anymore. And it still seats. They say necessity is the mother of invention. When I opened up this pot and I took out the cup, that is what welcomed me. And I started taking these out and looking at them. I was like, oh my, is that ingenious. So what do we have here? We have a little teaspoon here, we have a little fork, and we have a little tablespoon. Now this is homemade. This is not something that Scout sold. This is something that Scout did himself. And I love it because it gets you through whatever you need. So for your spoon, you fold that around your finger and you go ahead and use it just like that. Same thing with a fork. You can fork it and you can bring it up. Same thing with a little teaspoon. And what's great about this as well is you have little measuring devices here. Now, one of my other kits, and I neglected to show you, inside the cup here, one of my other kits, a Scout actually scratched markings inside their cup to use as a measuring device. So you see a line there, a line there, and a line there. So I thought that was really cool as well. This is something you can add to your own personal kit and be utilitarian, especially if it's this type of kit here. So when you take your cup, you put it in there, you start dropping your fork and your spoons like so. Close up your lid and add it to your mess kit. Flip that upside down, put it in like so, and you are ready to rock and roll. Go on your great next 10-mile hike. I hope you guys like that and you got something from it, you know, because learning from the past can help us tremendously. Now, if you don't like the aluminum mess kits and you are more comfortable with a stainless steel, maybe you just want to get a new one, then check out my link below, my affiliate link in the description box, because you can get a stainless steel one today. That's pretty close to what we have here, and maybe you can make your own adaptation to a fork or spoon, just like what this Scout did so long ago, and it'll help you out. So if you want to check out a whole video playlist about the different mess kits that I have and I've made videos about, then check it out here. And don't forget to check out my shop. I'm going to put pictures of these mess kits on my website, www.honorableoutfitters.com. That way you can go there and you can check them out yourself. I got plenty of free sources on there, lots of pictures and articles. I hope you guys have a wonderful week. Give a kiss, hug to your loved ones, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care.